Yo, what is up, Fight World? It's K-Rod here. I'm back with another good video. Wow. My boy, the one and only Mr. David Benevidez, made it clear on his Instagram, as we do have the receipts, showing that David Benevidez wants the smoke with Canelo Alvarez, which I am not surprised. I am having a lot of interest in seeing this. And I really hope this does happen, and this needs to happen on Cinco de Mayo. This needs to be the fight of the year, and David needs to make it happen. Honestly, this fight really needs to go down, and Canelo needs to stop being a pussy. As you know, David Benevidez wants the smoke with Canelo Alvarez, and Canelo does not want the smoke with David Benevidez. My thoughts on this is that David is making Mexicans look better by showing his true warrior's mindset, and I think it would make a whole bigger difference if this fight were to make it, really big, and make its way for a bigger impact for this division to get more interesting. I personally believe Canelo will probably not take this fight, but I think either way, Canelo is already in a huge war with Benevidez because he knows that Benevidez is his mandatory, and no matter what Canelo tries to do, he's going to try to avoid fighting Benevidez at all costs by requesting the WBC French fries belt or the franchise belt, and I could definitely see it happening because, Canelo, he is not a real Mexican. He has no Mexican blood. And I think it would be nice to see, Benavidez give Canelo his second loss of his career and basically pull another Floyd Mayweather on him because, people just don't understand why Canelo is not that good of a boxer. And I personally believe Canelo, he does not have any skills. He does not fight his contemporaries, and he's too afraid to put his skills to the test when he knows that he's not as good as he says he is. You cannot call yourself pound for pound number one when clearly you have no balls, and you will never take anybody, to your skill level to make yourself a bigger, threat to your division. And, I really do respect what Benavidez does because he's actually making himself known to represent his people. But not only that, he has balls. You know what I'm saying? David is doing his part as a fighter and a warrior of the sport to make himself a true contender and a champion. To know that wins and losses don't define a man, but legacy defines a man's will and passion to how much you commit to this sport and any other sport in the world. There's a champion in all of us. And I really do respect what David is doing here. I really hope that this does happen. But as you see from his Instagram post as of today or yesterday, which would be Saturday, 21 hours ago, this is what he said. This is the fight y'all, or this the fight y'all really want to see. I will go through anybody to get to Canelo. If that's what needs to be done, I'll be ready when my opportunity comes, and I'll guarantee to make it a war. But not only that, David is Canelo's mandatory. If we just go into the WBC rankings, you will see that Canelo has David as his mandatory if this were to go down. So Canelo, he knows that he's in big trouble here because he's really not in any position to say that he's going to, avoid David because, look, it's right here. According to Box.live, David Benevidez is number one of the WBC super middleweight, division. Which, Yildirim, I don't know how he's there. He should not even be there. That's very sad. But yeah, David Benavidez is number one on that list. So Canelo, he has two options. One, he could become a real Mexican and fight David Benavidez, or he could vacate his belt again, like what he did to Charlo, and request a WBC franchise belt. And I mean, if anything, he's not going to be able to move up to 175 and dominate that division, because we already know who the hell he's going to have to face to get his little WBC belt. He's going to have to face Artur Beterbiev, who is still a threat till this day, and he would have to face, I don't know who's the IBF champion at light heavyweight. I think it's, I don't know. I'm not really going to think about that. I want to think it's Maris Bradis, but I do know the WBA champion is Dimitri Bivol, and Bivol would beat the living crap out of Canelo. I guarantee you Bivol would beat the living crap out of Canelo. But either way, light heavyweight is a very deep division, and Canelo don't want the smoke with those type of people. But at super middleweight or middleweight, either way, you're going to be put into a big trap where you're not going to do what you say that you're going to do. But either way, it's like, what are you, what are you going to try to do here? Canelo is not going to do anything but run away and make himself a bigger, worthless phony like anybody else trying to duck other fighters in boxing to make himself a complete, joke. But I'm just going here to find the champions and ratings so that way we can make sure that we have confirmation that Canelo is the WBC super middleweight champion of the world. Which, I mean, it does say David Benavidez here, but according to Box.live, he is the super middleweight champion for the WBC. But if we just go to Saul Alvarez's, Canelo BoxRec, sorry. Give me 1 second. BoxRec. Alright, here we go. Alright, here we go. WBC super middleweight title. And WBA super world or super world super middleweight title. So yeah, Canelo is the the real champion for the WBA, and he is the official champion for the WBC. So either way, Canelo has Caleb Plant and he has Billy Joe Saunders to worry about if he wants to make his way towards the upper echelon of, accomplishing undisputed. But I don't think Canelo is really going to do that because his dreams are going to be conquered when David Benavidez is his mandatory, which he can activate it, and I'm pretty sure he will do anything possible to get that mandatory slot in, and Canelo won't have any means to avoid David Benavidez. But it just seems that Canelo pretty much runs with the WBC as if he's the president. So if Canelo really does avoid David Benavidez like he did with Charlo, David Benavidez will get his title back anyway. But you know what David Benavidez will do? He will find any means necessary to get that fight in with Canelo. And then, theoretically, once he beats Canelo's ass, he can go after Charlo. He can go after Andrade. He can go after all these other guys that want the smoke. And case closed. So, this video is to just pretty much confirm that Canelo Alvarez is being called out by the one and only David Benavidez, La Bandera, or, red flag, or like whatever he calls himself. But I'm just very happy that David, he's coming out of his way. He's showing his true Mexican spirit. And I give this man huge respects for what he's doing. And, I really hope this happens, man. Because either way, I think David is going to have to fight probably, I don't know. He could fight Caleb Plant, but Caleb's going to fight Caleb Truex on January 30th. But I don't know if Caleb would probably want to give him that opportunity, knowing that he just loses his belt on the scale from his recent fight. But I don't think David is that far away from a title fight. Either way, it's gonna have to be through Canelo, or it could be through Billy Joe Saunders or Caleb Plant. But I think David Benevidez, he's well within his way to becoming a multiple time, champion for his division. So I really hope that does happen, because David Benavidez, he deserves every moment of solidifying his legacy. And if Canelo Alvarez ain't gonna give him that opportunity, you best believe that Caleb Plant or Billy Joe Saunders will be in the way, giving him that time to shine. And if anything, Canelo, he's going to have to give up his belt anyway if he's going to keep avoiding these guys and trying to find loopholes to get away from them. So, at the end of the day, Canelo, he's hurting himself as a fighter, and he's also ruining his legacy as a boxer to solidify his career. So Canelo is being an absolute idiot to avoid Benavidez, theoretically. And if Charlo comes up to 168, then guess what? Canelo is not going to be able to keep his title, because of the WBC is going to lose interest eventually, and then they're going to have to go out of business when people start getting all pissed off to say, hey, let's see these fights, let's see these damn fights. And if the WBC is not going to respect mandatories, and they're not going to respect whatever competition that should be made for the table, so that way fighters can prove their worth to defend the title, then that's what's going to lead to the WBC abolishing itself. And I hope that does happen, because the WBC does not deserve to be a title commission, especially with all this cheating that's going on within these boxing commissions, where nobody's not being held accountable. And there's very little talk about this. And I just find it weird, whenever I do talk about these things, I always get so much hate from so many people trying to tell me, oh, you can't be talking about this. That's just normal in boxing. People just need to deal with bad corruption in the sport, blah blah blah. No, you don't see this out of the NBA. You don't see this out of the MLB. You don't see this out of any other major sport globally that has a set regulatory commission that has advanced screening to make sure every athlete on the field or whatever environment of a sport that athletes are playing in are completely checked, to make sure both sides of these athletics are cleared for competitive activity, to put your skills to the test in the sport, to see where you are. And whoever comes out, the sanctioned winner, they are the sanctioned winner. I just don't understand how boxing does not have these market innovations set in place, so that way, the sport can be just as popular, if not way more popular, than all other sports in the world. Because that's what's making boxing fall apart. You have all these dirty ass fighters that have came into the sport to destroy people's careers and legacies, and that's what makes people so angry, not enjoying the sport of boxing, because people do batshit insane, tactics to cheat and allow these bad judges and these corrupt commissions that are not screening fighters and their teams, responsibly. And you got all these, let's just say referees probably taking a bribe from commissions or whoever to allow dirty cheating to go on in a boxing fight, or referees just doing other crazy stuff. But either way, that shit needs to go. Get rid of promoter politics. Get rid of all that crap, man. That's what's destroying the sport of boxing. And I would really hope for this case of David Benevidez versus Canelo Alvarez, this fight needs to happen, and Canelo needs to get his ass beat. And I think whatchamacallit, David Benavidez needs to get a shot sooner than later. But I think David Benavidez is on the right path, and he's already making history by showing his true Mexican colors to make himself a bigger threat for Canelo as time goes on. Because either way, it's going to be him or Charlo that will most likely fight each other if Canelo does tend to take a different turn and try to avoid either of those two. Because Canelo's going to find every single way in ducking Charlo. So, I would say until he has Mexican balls to probably fight Charlo, I'd say that would be the only way. But if anything, he's not going to be able to do anything because he is basically admitting defeat. He knows what's going on. He knows what David Benavidez is going to do to him. He's going to pressure, David Benavidez is going to pressure Canelo to a point where Canelo is not going to talk about Benavidez, of him calling him out and actually being, politely respectable in a sense to say, hey, Canelo, I really want you to fight me. Let's get this going. And if Canelo is not going to respond, you know what David is going to do. David is going to press on Canelo. He's going to make Canelo uncomfortable, just like what Errol Spence did to Canelo, where he was talking about Canelo, and Canelo never even mentioned Errol's name. And Eddie Reynoso had a huge facial expression showing that, hey, look, I don't think you should even pursue Errol Spence because and I know that Errol Spence, he is a crazy fighter. He is good. He is well talented in his respectable efforts to be arguably at least pound for pound number 1 or 2 in the welterweight division. And he sure as hell would be very ecstatic to get that easy money off of Canelo because he knows what he would do to Canelo. But not only that, if Errol knows that Jamal wants you, what do you think Errol is going to do to you? Errol spars guys that are as big as heavyweights. And Errol Spence knows that Canelo, he is not going to come in there and try to just knock his head off. Canelo is going to try to get rough, ragged, and dirty. But do you want to know what Errol Spence can do to suppress all that? Keep jabbing. That's why when he jabs, he leans on you. He makes sure that those punches are like Mortal Kombat punches. When you get hit, you don't want to get hit again. And that's why Canelo and his trainer, Eddie Reynoso, or Shit Reynoso, they don't want the smoke. And I'm pretty sure if that fight were to get made next, Canelo knows he would have the advantage, only in the sense of if he could use his size, maybe over Errol Spence. I don't think so, because Errol Spence has been in that situation before, i.e. Sean Porter, and he literally walked Sean Porter down. So I think with a flat-footed guy like Canelo, where Errol, he has athletic ability, and he would probably need to have a couple tune-ups, maybe at 160 if he were to move up there. That's really the only issue that Errol would have to be at a disadvantage for. But it's what is at the point of moving to 154 when at 160 Canelo will be waiting for you? So the only thing that Errol would really need to do is just maybe get at least a couple tune-ups, feel good to see if 160 is your weight, and then just stay there. Because if anything, Jermel's going to be at 160, and if Errol's going to be at 160, I don't think I don't know. I think if anything, you might even see Errol Spence at 168, man. I don't even know. These are very risky things to talk about, but I'm just only talking about David Benavidez versus Canelo, but I'm just making like my final point to say that the the same energy that David is pushing onto Canelo was the same energy that Errol Spence put onto Canelo, and Canelo knows that when Errol Spence is talking about him and Eddie know that Errol, he is really damn serious about beating the living crap out of Canelo. And if Canelo knows what he's going to be expecting out of this whole fight, if it were to be made between him and Errol, it's going to be an absolute war. What do you think that Errol would do to Canelo? Errol would make sure Canelo does not even hit him. And even if Canelo were to hit him, Errol, he has massive endurance. That durability is so strong that what you give to Errol, he gives back. Yeah, he throws everything back at you in a much more, dangerous conviction. And that's really what Errol is about. He's just that type of guy where he's just different and he makes you think. He makes you very uncomfortable in situations where you just don't want to be with him. You don't want to mess with what he brings to the table. And that's what I kind of fear out of this whole thing between him and David. Is Canelo going to have the balls to fight either David Benavidez or Jamal Charlo or even Errol Spence? The three dangerous horsemen are going to be knocking on his door very soon. These titans will come to him one day, and he will face the biggest nightmare of his life, and that is dealing with the MBF and the MBF. No black fighters and no Mexican fighters. Or NMF. NMF. Yeah, so, either way, man, I just think, like, between him and David Benavidez, that fight is probably going to get made if Canelo does have, the real balls and the audacity to fight David Benavidez, but I don't ever see that really coming to fruition, because just knowing how Canelo is responding towards Errol Spence and Jamal Charlo, sure as hell that between him and David Benavidez, he's not going to have the balls to probably fight him. So I think Canelo is going to officially duck David Benavidez like he did with I don't even know. I'd probably say Jamal Charlo and Andrade, because that's really like two of the greatest examples right there. But it just wouldn't surprise me, man. But yeah, let me know in the comments what do you think about Canelo and David Benavidez. I think this would be a very good fight, and it will turn out to be a war. Alright, more videos coming soon. Thank you very much, and goodbye.